We're live. Hello, hello, hello. I'm just going to spitball a bit for a second as we get back online. Everyone, I am so sorry. Thank you for your patience today. We've just been enjoying the fact that they've released a new version of OBS. So on the upside, on the upside today, that this should be working great. On the downside, there's so many compatibility issues. There's a new version of Stream Deck, which I've just discovered is not working, and I'm going to have to reboot it for the 5th time. So, as always, when new things come out, there are problems, which is why I am famous for having problems. It's a horrible reputation to have. Whenever people talk to me, they're like, oh yeah, ill-esha, you're the one who's always having the most dreadful gear problems that I've never heard of anywhere else. Well, let me fight back that a little bit, and let me tell you why. It is because I'm always trying new software. I'm always trying new things that are not tested, that don't have any precedent, blah, blah, blah.
Sorry?
So because of that, unfortunately, it means that sometimes you are going to have issues. So here we are. Is my audio actually working this time? I really hope it is. It looks like all good here. So don't try new things, says Chase. Okay, come on. This is a whole channel about making new things. So I'll tell you what, I was going to tell you a lot of exciting things, and I will, but I'm going to just get going with some music because I know y'all have been waiting. So we've got Salvati. What's Salvati's deal? What is Salvati looking for today?
So this song is a Minecraft parody, but it's an original song. I really love this project. I'm just really unsure about the build-up and drop sections. I really like what I've established with the... Sorry, my window's too small. I really like what I've established with the build. Where is it? With the vocals and the first half of the song, but it feels like the build-up and onwards kinda, I don't know, is missing something. Not sure.
The build-up is missing something.
There we go.
All right, we got it, and I'm still getting myself organized, and I've realized that even my now playing thing is wrong. It's been a crazy, crazy day, so I almost was about to cancel the stream, and then I figured out that OBS is just a little bit silly, and we just needed to do a couple things to fix it. So let's go, Salvati.
No.
You're fine, Natty. I fixed it. It's okay.
Into a world full of blocks, and we built a house to play with all our thoughts in. But you went seeking for more, looking somewhere to explore. Don't wanna make you feel bored. And I'm not trying to ask to be an admin. I only wanted TV to be closer to you. But I gave all my armor to a has-been. And now you're shutting down the realm, so what do I do?
So turning normal playthrough to a story. And you had the whole thing planned before you told me. So tell me why you're still offline and I'm still stuck in the nether. And I'm sick of people acting like they know me. And I'm feeling kinda sad, so please invite me. But now the service is offline and I'm just stuck there forever.
Oh, that ending caught me off guard as per usual with some of the whips. Natty, I can hear myself echoing. I'm not sure if that's coming from you. Yeah, it is. It is actually, because when I unmute you, or when I mute you, it goes away.
It must.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Not sure why that.
There we go.
Is. I shouldn't.
It just. Nope, it's still echoey. Weird. All right, I'm just gonna
mean,
deal with
maybe
it. Tech issues.
Maybe that helps.
So, buddy, that was a really, really nice, strong way to kick us off. I really enjoyed it. I think that this was actually much more cohesive and organized than some of the other stuff, like in terms of not having too many ideas. I think this is a lot more focused. I really like it. Natty?
I mean, it's definitely bouncy and all of, like, you know, fun energy. I'm interested in how is it a Minecraft song? I mean, I'm not sure entirely. I hear what specifically pertains to being Minecraft. But then again, maybe that's a sign of it actually just being a good song in its own right. That it's abstract enough that it can, you know, transcend whatever you're trying to do with genre.
Yeah, no, I didn't hear Minecraft specifically. I mean, not that I've been playing Minecraft for a while, but yeah. I don't know, maybe there were some samples, or I would love to know more about this as well.
Yeah, I mean, they said 2011 music, basically. But I mean, I feel like maybe I just wasn't paying that much attention to music back then, so not like Minecraft music, but just, okay, so it's more of an era when everyone was making those sort of songs. That makes sense. I see. I mean, it definitely has it's with lyrics about Minecraft, yeah. Well, I mean, it's without the context, I guess I can't say how successful you are at that. I mean, it's very hyperpop to me, at least. And I think in terms of production, you're kind of still in between places as well, though, in that regard. So, you know, it's kind of going in a harsh really strong vocal processing direction, but not. Like, it hasn't quite got all the bite that it might deserve to have.
Right.
I don't know,
Yeah.
it's hard to.
Yeah, I think yeah, anime intro sounds good. Maybe like I think all of your stuff is very like light and delicate, and it's really nice because it's well mixed and doesn't hurt my ears, but I think it could slam a little bit more. And maybe this is a mastering thing. Like, do you do your own mastering? Do you have a friend who likes to master? This is my sort of broke bedroom producer hack, all right? And I've enjoyed this hack for many years, is like, find you a friend who loves mastering and who needs a portfolio. And like, I'm not saying don't pay them, but you know, get a good deal with them, and then as they build up over the years, they will probably give you a good rate. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, because obviously it gets really expensive to have somebody master all your tunes if you make a lot. But if you find someone who's like, okay, you know what, you're good business, you bring people to me, we've used each other for years, I'll give you a good rate. This, like, at this point, I really don't master my own releases anymore because I'm biased. Like, my ear is faulty. I've listened to it for too many times and I can't hear correctly, and I need somebody else, preferably somebody who's invested in gear and time, and specifically of mastering, to just take it away and do another polish. So I highly recommend getting other people to master, because I think that you can set up the slamming part pretty easily that way. So what do you think, Natty? Do you master all your own stuff, or do you have somebody else help you out?
Yeah, I actually do all of it because I don't like spending money.
Fair enough. And then
I'm a cheapskate in that regard.
Chase is saying that they provide mastering services as well. Chase is great. I would highly recommend it. But Chase, aren't you busy as FUCK? Aren't you like never home? Where do you master? Like in a hotel room or like the back seat of a car? I don't even know when this guy has time to master. But I would say
what he's got is this tent.
A
that
tent.
he carries around everywhere that's been treated.
A mastering
and you
truck.
Just see him, and you see him pop his head out of it. Like, he's like a human-sized tent, though. Like, you know, and he just.
Why do I
like,
picture Chase with like mastering gear strapped to the front with like the monkey on the top, and he's just walking down the street like mastering, and the monkey's like cling 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 cling. Let's go. Anyways, I'm gonna get some goodies ready to show you. I have some fun stuff to show you, but again, I'm still kind of running around, and yeah. So like next up, we're gonna just move to Baco, one of our old favorites. Anything specific from Baco today?
Core of a whip, dry, no comments on mixing or spatial effects needed. I'm just contemplating what I should add to the song. I think it needs another lead element, but vocalists are hard to find. Thoughts?
All right, let's check it out. Just by the way, everyone, this is as far as I can turn it up. Sorry. All right, so this is like really, really quiet. I just want to say here, like, yes, people can turn the stream up and down, but think of your dear old rave mom here. I've got 3 different loopback devices in order to make this stream work. And so I can only turn things up and down so much. And this was already like with 4 dB of gain. I have to type it in. If I type it in wrong, you get a big blast, which everybody who was around when I accidentally typed in 20 dB knows. So please, you don't have to master things, but just try and throw a limiter on it so that you don't have to be at the mix stage, Baco, but just throw a quick limiter on it just to bring it up, just for the sake of the stream. That's all.
I mean, I agree with Chase. It does have a good vibe. I mean, I had to max out my audio to get that vibe. But,
the vibe is great.
No, Altonos, you're not missed your submission, so you're fine there. As far as a lead element, I mean, you might be get away with just something simple. Maybe try doing some spoken stuff, or find samples of, like, speech on this. Something.
What about like that little high
scene.
sound that's right there, that little dum 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 dum? That could almost be a lead. I feel like the reason why that's not a lead is simply boiling down to the melody. Like right now, it seems to be kind of following the rest of it. It's just like dum 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 dum, and it sounds like you're just kind of rising and falling with something that's going. But what about trying to make a more discrete melody standalone with that thing? I think that is a nice sound that pokes through. Do something with it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I would definitely just take that lead and sort of articulate it. And now I have to go back into the properties and type the gain down to 0. So I'm going to try and avoid doing that as much as possible because, like I said, just keep in mind that with my complicated setup, I then have to transition into different complicated setups for all of the shows we do. So be nice to Rave Mom. Just throw a limiter on stuff so that I don't have to break my setup every time your mix is too quiet. Anyways, not your fault, really. It's just this takes a lot. Who's up next? I'm still not ready. I'm going to need like a 3-minute track to pull my stuff together. So hopefully...
Well, we'll see what Disco Dave has got for us. I've pasted a link in your
got
chat
it.
there.
YouTube.
There. Comment here is fast, hard house track, unmastered. How's the mix? And is it sounding okay?
Okay, so let's try that out. Woo. All right. Put a donk on it, Disco Dave. That's my feedback. Just kidding. You already did. Very donkey. I gotta be honest. I love you, Disco Dave. I'm so happy you're in the server. I love your energy. I enjoy your music. I'm often at a loss to give you feedback because it's really far out of my style. I would say like the point at which you and I cross over would be like my collection of early 2000s, late 90s rave breaks, because rave breaks and like old school hardcore, that was sort of like the genesis before it split into happy hardcore and hardstyle, and then like breakbeat and drum and bass. And so I would just say like it's hard for me because when that split happened, the stuff that I like went to the one way, and the stuff that I could have lived without was all the stuff that became happy hardcore. So I'm just going to be honest, but despite me absolutely disliking this genre, I enjoy your music. So I think at the end of the day, you are achieving your goal. You're doing it well. You've got the genre done, because I get that energy. I get that super happy rave energy, and that's what's important. And it honestly, like, it's listenable to me. So you've managed to get the quality of fun without taking the annoying quality with it. So this is the biggest compliment I can give you. I'm hoping, I don't know, Natty, if you have like more nuance with this kind of stuff, but really for me, it's like, oh, this is the stuff that used to be a part of the stuff that I played that split into its own sort of family. So I'm out of my territory here.
I mean, Stasis Stigma is giving some good comments here in the chat, which I agree with. He's saying I would like a tighter kick, a shorter sample specifically. And I agree, I mean, maybe not the whole track, but your intro, I think the kick as it stands works really well. But as it gets more busy, it's suffering, it's getting turned into mud. And Altonoa saying it's almost like a hard tech kick bass once you have the kick and the donk. Maybe even syncing the kick and the donk up more in terms of how they're placed. And the stereo fields, they're nudging at, like they're sitting out of each other's way, but they're complementary. I think that would really help with this track to give it the punchiness that it needs, because it is a high energy track, but it's like it's very mono and it gets very muddy very, very quickly, especially once you get the sort of I mean, like soul brassy sort of lasery almost sound, siren-y, you know, the sound. Once that comes in, it sort of gets hard to discern each element from each other, and a lot of that is just sitting down with either a fine-tooth comb on an irregular EQ or using a multi-band EQ to with dynamic response, like Nova TDR, for example, just sort of make things bounce out of each other's way naturally. But like, and then it will also allow you to crank it a little bit harder in the master when you get rid of those sort of rough edges. Because this track definitely needs to be really big and loud and crazy.
Yeah.
But right now it's not quite reaching that point.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I sort of had it as good background music, and it sounded pretty clean to me, but it's also like so high energy that I think that being cleaner can really never hurt. Oh, wow. Somebody doesn't know what TDR Nova is. Wow, you must be new to the program. We talk about it all the time. TDR Nova is a really, really great dynamic EQ. It's free. As Chase says, it is a must-have. Look it up. Donate. For EQing anything where you have dynamic pitch, like for instance, when I sing a note and I sing a high note and a low note, a dynamic EQ, if I have a really sharp high note, it will only kick in when I sing that sharp note and exceed the frequency. So it's almost like the way that you set a compressor to trigger at a threshold, but you're setting an EQ to trigger at specific frequencies only when they are exceeded. And it's just a really amazing tool for subtly giving yourself more dynamic range instead of just compressing it and losing all the nuances. So I would highly recommend it. Really amazing, and thanks for everybody's patience. So we have something really, really cool coming up next Wednesday. I really would appreciate it if you'd all join me. This is going to be the end of the Audius remix competition, which actually closed yesterday, and it's also going to be round 3 of ILBC. So we're going to have live contestants battling out with the stems to create routines, and we're also going to be voting live on the top 8 remixes. So we got 101 remixes submitted to the competition. this kind of blows me away. I did a contest on Audius a few years ago, also with EDMP, and that was only, I think, like 70 or 80. So really, really cool to watch the Audius community growing. I mean, I can't take all the credit either because it's not just EDMP collab, but also You Suck at Producing. So for those of you who have not watched You Suck at Producing, wowzers, you need to get on it. Really, really cool channel, and they are going to be co-streaming. So what did I want to show you? Well, I made a trailer for the event just in case you don't realize how exciting it is, and you're going to be the first people to see it. Oh my God. So we're not doing EDM trivia. That's coming later. Sorry, I spoiled my own surprise. We're going to do some trivia games today too. But check out my trailer because you're not going to want to miss this, all right?
Importance of this moment cannot be overstated.
5 minutes on the clock. Everyone make some noise.
These contests are not for the faint-hearted.
Here they come.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed making it. So that's right. We are going to have the finals of the Audius Remix Contest. So the top 8. Right now, we have a panel of loyal judges. And by that, I mean me, Nathaniel, a couple of other wonderful, wonderful people with ILBC. I could use a couple of judges for the first round because we have 101 remixes. Oh my God, that blows my mind. But also, we are going to be having live battles. And so if you don't know what that is, which is most likely because we've only had 2 events, let me introduce you to the ILBC YouTube channel. So this is a very undeveloped YouTube channel. As you can see, we only have 40 subscribers, and it's because we've been focusing on Twitch. We've been really just doing live streams, but I've started putting stuff up from our previous rounds. So you can see from round 1, Bristol, all the routines and showcases. You can see from the Shino's Tech round, which we just had, which I would also recommend. It was won by Finica, who performed with a live snake in her hair, and she plays 7 instruments. She's from Mexico. She's pretty awesome. So let's just actually, you know what? Let's just watch a couple seconds of that. So just so you know what's in store. Now, the difference with this is that we didn't have guaranteed internet connectivity. So she did make a video. We are going to have people doing this live, okay, remotely. So here's her video, but let's look at her.
Yep.
All right, so, I just wanted to show you all a little bit of that kind of thing. So we're gonna have 4 contestants battling live like this, and they're gonna have to use those same audio stems that you were using for the remix. And we're going to have a panel of judges, and you are also going to get to vote along with winning prizes. Another thing I want to show you before we jump back to feedback, in case you all have been living under a rock and you haven't seen Jam Pro, this is the app that Ninja Tune produces. It's on iPad mostly now, and I want to show you just a little bit of what we're doing right now. So we've actually put out those audio stems as a pack for this app. And if you have an iPad, you can get this app for free. We've got a link to submit. Let me just show you the trailer of that before we jump back into our regularly scheduled programming. So that's the link right there. You can sign up, you can get the app, and you can get the stems as a pack. And we are also going to have a prize for the best Jam Pro remix. And get this, the contest is still open. So even though the main remix contest is closed, you can still enter your Jam Pro remix. All you have to do is upload it to Audius as a remix, same thing, but just make sure you put Jam Pro remix in brackets so we can count it. And there will be a special prize and announcement. It's a really, really cool iPad. Okay, so Tate Cello is up next. Thank you so much for the sub. I know you gotta go, so don't worry. I just really need to tell people about this because this is our prime event. This is kind of why we started ILBC, was to throw a really cool live beat challenge to get people interested in live performance and to encourage a production community. So this is our bread and butter, and all you have to do to support us, please just tune in. This is going to be more North American time, so it's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern next Wednesday. But please, if you can, even if you put it on the background and you're doing dishes, it's going to be so much fun because you can vote on the champion, you can vote on the best Audius remix, you can do visuals with us, okay? You can type in the color of the sky and it will change. So there's a lot going on. We have the Q Jumper Tate Cello. Thank you so much for subscribing. So for anybody, right now we don't have a ton of benefits yet. We're working on that, but if you do subscribe, that will give you the deluxe feedback, so it's exactly the same as donating. And so Tate Cello has got a track. Is there specific comments on this whip that they wanted to know?
Just wanted to share some progress on a track I started a few weeks back. Was wondering if I could get some general feedback on the sound design. Any advice going forward? Thanks.
All right, sound design. Cool. My favorite thing to give feedback on. Let's do it. Wow. And wow, SoundCloud. Thank you so much, SoundCloud, for assuming that I really wanted to listen to continuous music. Gotta love that algorithm. Tate, that was such a pleasant surprise. Like, by your name, I was kind of expecting something more acoustic. And wow, sound design for me was really great, really vivid, lots of storytelling. Natty, I'm gonna let you, do you have a monologue? How are you feeling about this one?
I mean, so far so good. Obviously, it feels like the whole thing is intro right now, though, more than we're actually getting into the meat of the song. Like, you just sort of introduced element after element after element, but like there's not a huge amount of storytelling going on just yet. So I think the move here perhaps would be to let that build up to a crescendo and then come back down and actually establish your core motif for the track in isolation before building back up again.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, it kind of depends on your destination. Like, are you trying to get this on a dance floor? Are you trying to be more backgroundy? Because it's always like contentious to be like, does this need to go further? Well, you could have a really nice ambient piece, but it's not exactly like Nathaniel said, taking the attention. So you have to just decide, okay, where am I trying to go from here? What do I want the most? And you have to make a decision. And I think right now maybe Nathaniel is right. Like it's a little bit in between that. Like it seems like it wants attention, but it hasn't finished telling the story. So I definitely I agree with that. This is deluxe feedback, so go for it, Natty.
Yeah,
go for it.
My recommendation, at least, would be that blah blah blah. Like that's sort of, I think, the next thing to start mutating and developing. That it's a very 8-bit-ish synth, and you could then go very. If you wanted to make it more dancey, you make your next section very beat focused with just minimal melodies and go. Maybe bring in an 808 drum or something with some nice saturation on it, so you get the contrast between your glittery sparkly synths and a heavy bass, because that's another thing right now, at least in this whip, that's lacking, is the bass response. That's what sort of edges it over into ambient territory, because while ambient can have bass, it tends to be of the smoother, more drawn out and in the background variety. Like it's adding intensity, but it's not taking the focus. While with dance, it's all about the dynamics between the bass and the drums, and everything else is kind of just filling in space, or making it more memorable if you're making it poppy.
Agreed. And I do agree with some people that some of the synths were a tiny bit harsh. So I think mix wise, that could help. And Stasis said something very perceptive as well, the squarish tones, maybe an EQ to lower those tones. So yeah, if you have a certain shape, right, if you have a lot of square waves and certain things, you are going to have an over pile up like of certain frequencies. So maybe, yeah, I agree with TDR Nova could help lower the resonance just in those points where it's problematic. Or even try like maybe changing the waveform a little bit. Like sometimes people get crazy, like I've done this for sure, like put yourself in this scenario, you make a sound that's almost great and then it's not fitting in the track, and you sit there and you EQ the thing for like years, and you're getting old, you're in your grave, and finally you're like, I should have just changed the waveform. But then you're dead and it's too late. So anyways, in that totally realistic scenario, I should have gone back and just changed the waveform instead of waiting till my deathbed on EQing the sound. And then Calaxis.
That's a very morbid metaphor there.
No, but it's true. And Calaxis is chiming in. Like it does sound horrible and thin, because then you're just trying to fix problem after problem after problem. And sometimes it's not even the waveform. Sometimes it's the voicing. Sometimes you just need to have like one note changed in your chord to change the buildup of resonance. So I would say definitely, like, there is a horrible old metaphor about beating a dead horse. Don't ever do that. Just don't ever do that. But especially don't do it musically. Like just try changing up. Maybe you can save the sound, make a copy of it, and try changing that, because I love your tones and I love your sound design, but it's got a lot going on. Stasis Stigma says, I still remember the first time an engineer showed me a sound spectrum on a square tone pluck, and it had this nasty spike that was so harsh, even though the rest of the sound was amazing. Just got to reduce those spikes. So true, because sometimes your ear, it goes by too fast, and your ear can't even pick up that that's what it is. It's just like, ow, something hurts. So
Demask saying this therapy session speaks to me.
This therapy, oh my gosh. No, I know. But here's the thing, like I've been making music since before YouTube, since before like modern internet. So I went and suffered through all these mistakes for years. I'm gonna talk about my most embarrassing mistake real quick, just for anyone who didn't listen to the story the first time. For years, I didn't realize when I was using Logic that it had this problem with time delay compensation issues when you sent things to aux buses. So I thought I was being super fancy because I had this side chain rack going on where I would be like, okay, so the bass gets sent to 3 different buses for low, mid, and high, and then I process those, and then I bring it back to a master bass bus, and then I like do some side chaining on that. Well, it turns out that the delay compensation was so bad that my side chains were sometimes coming in like a full beat off, and I couldn't figure it out. I spent years just being like, maybe if I do this, maybe if I do this, maybe if I do this. And then one day I read some random article that said one tiny thing, and I was like, wow. And I went into what I was using to sidechain, which was like FabFilter something, and I auditioned the source. And then I was like, oh, wow. And that was when I really wanted the whole like magic delete button of delete all releases ever on Spotify that just does not exist. So That's my most embarrassing mixing story. Feel free to share yours in the chat to make me feel slightly less bad. Up next, we have Sunny Skies. Is there anything Sunny Skies would like to know specifically about their track today?
Their comment was, "Pony Lady, I am back adopting the name Microphone Pony because I think it's funny." Formerly known as Sunny Skies. They submitted it last week.
Oh.
Time for a bunch of text that is going to be painful to read. This is a song I've more or less called finished and is more recent compared to last week's song Revelations, the song with no space. I'm tracking a few things that might be problems in the songs. The highs after the drop and some likely unnecessary sounds. The bass after the drop feels like it could be improved upon too. I also am not too good with actually working with vocals. I ended up slapping reverb onto them and some compression. Is there anything more interesting I can do effects-wise? Also, the drops have some dubstep elements, and they are pretty dissonant. I feel like I like the sound, but wonder if they might be something that is problematic to other listeners. The drop lead seems to fall behind the bass. That's fine by me, but opinions are always welcome. This all being said, I don't have the ear training required to pick out most things. You will most likely hear problems. I don't. Here is Distant Plains and Unknown Futures, my second yet first successful attempt at progressive house.
All right. Well, Natty, could you just reread that with a more excited tone? Just kidding. Here is my first attempt.
I didn't expect that it would be continued. Like, seriously, it's a long...
It's okay. Well, before I even start, I'm just going to give my first advice that I always give, but it's good advice. It's EQ your reverb, especially on vocals, because I can guarantee you that if you don't, you're going to get unwanted resonance repeating and echoing and amplifying itself. Because just think, you have a frequency you don't want. Now that frequency is bouncing off the wall. Now it's coming back to the other wall. Now it's bouncing again and bouncing again and bouncing again and bouncing again and bouncing again. Now we have 87 copies of that same frequency we didn't like. That's what happens when you don't EQ your reverb. Let's check out Distant Plains and Unknown Futures by Sunny Skies.
You and me will bring back the light.
Well, I'll tell you the best news is that I think the vocal actually sounds good. You know, like a lot of people when they're starting to mess with vocals, they overdo the reverb and they do all these things. And actually, I think the vocal is one of the best sounding things in the mix. So I really appreciate that. As far as the rest of your mix, I think it needs a lot of EQing. And Bako Bibizo, I mean, Bako, you should almost just come on our show every week because you pretty much just say a lot of the stuff I need to say anyway. So it needs a lot of EQing. Like right now, there's no bass. There's no beef. There's no bottom end. There's no slam. There's no, like the drums are very light and quiet. And it almost sounds like somebody is like singing in a room and the music is like in the next room because that's how far back you've put it in the mix. So I would first recommend muting the vocal for a while and just really mixing the main part, the instrumental part, mix it against a reference track, okay? Like reference tracks, I cannot overstate how important they are when you're new and even when you're experienced. Because your ears are not perfect, your environment is probably not perfect unless you're in like some crazy expensive studio. And even then, even when you're in a crazy expensive studio, you know what they have on the desk? They have a pair of really, really shitty Yamaha NS10 speakers or like a single Bluetooth speaker because most people listen to stuff on crappy environments or different environments. So reference tracks, listening to them because you know that that one has been mastered well and it's something you like. And then put your own track against it, keeping in mind that you're leaving room for the vocal to sit. So if you turn up the rest of the mix and you find that your vocal doesn't have room, that's because you need to do a lot more EQing on your synth and your other elements and make some space in the mix. What would you suggest, Nathaniel?
Sounds like you're in a room like this.
Reverb. No reverb. Yeah.
But I mean, I think for me as well with this track, there are points where everything's competing for attention with the vocals too. So even if you've pulled everything back, it's like it's just a constant wall of noise. And there are points where that's because it feels like the vocal itself is there's too much of that, where you're like it's like the lady on it is singing constantly. She doesn't take breaths. She just keeps going, and then, you know, she's obviously trying to get our attention, but then all the rest of your instruments are doing the same. So you need to kind of fix your dynamics. I mean, it's kind of a similar issue to the tracks we heard last week, where you're doing better for the space, but space isn't just in terms of how many individual elements are taking up the mix at one moment, but it's also just how you structure the piece. It modulates the energy levels, and right now the whole track is kind of the same energy level. Which isn't helped by the stuff Isha was talking about with the bass levels and how everything's kind of sunk under. But also, I think you need to have a moment where it's just like an instrumental bridge and then the vocal comes back in, rather than just constant. And you could get, if you still want some sort of vocal element, you could probably chop it up as well, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's true. There was a little bit of a constant element. We want to give some space to breathe and things like that. So I get you. Hey, who is Kamado Tajama? Thanks for your donation. I don't know when that was. Oh, 7 days ago. Cool. Thanks for your donation 7 days ago.
Yeah, they got a skip out of that one.
Oh, cool. Yeah. All right. Well, that means that somebody else should donate. Keep it going. Oh, Stasis said they would like to have more of a saturation or an exciter on the vocal. That would be some fun things to explore. I think like as you're, oh my God, Natty, it sounds like a freaking steampunk engine in the background.
Dad needs to oil the hinges on the doors as well.
What you should do is every time he comes in, just start moving robotically, and then it'll just look like you're a robot, and it's a soundtrack to it. But yeah, saturation is an exciting, fun thing. Like I would say, keep learning about compression and EQ and focus on that. But also, if you want to have some fun, play with distortion and play with all kinds of distortion. But here's the caveat. Even if you're just starting, I would like you to get into the habit of running your distortions in multi-band, because if you put complete distortion on anything, you distort the low stuff, you know. Another really ancient expression, I'm kind of like into these old Victorian outdated expressions. I kind of want to bring them back because I'm really tired of being like, yo, this is lit fam, this is so bad. I would much rather say something like, how dare you throw the baby out with the bathwater, which is basically what I was about to don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'll let you think on that. So next up we have Big Bird Beats, a very rude track title. Luckily,
no.
luckily it's only rude if you read Urban Dictionary, and since everyone except me is totally adult-like, I'm sure no one else has ever looked at it. The track is called Dirty Sanchez. Life in a Mexican compound where the water has dried up and one can no longer shower. That's totally what a Dirty Sanchez means.
Of course.
And is there anything that you'd like us to know about this track about adventure in the showerless grounds of Mexico?
What setting would you bump this in? Is there enough stuff going on to keep you interested throughout? And how does the mix sound?
Sorry for Calaxis looking it up. You shouldn't have done that. Nobody should ever read Urban Dictionary. So, there's definitely some problems here with the master. It sounds like you're clipping your master. And if you look at the waveform, which you can kind of see in my little browser window, you can sort of see that that's the case, right? This looks unmastered to me. And it's a shame because I like this heavy part that's coming in, but it's distorting a little bit. Another thing I would say is I did hear some dissonance, just like Stasis. There were some chord issues, so I would look at your melodies a little bit because it's such a pretty, like, chill song that it's even more dissonant to have it not go in. And as Baco again says, it's like an 8-bar loop that you looped for 3 minutes. So it's getting a little you know how I describe this to people when I give them feedback? I say this is the building level. This is like the Mario world in between where you go and you like do the like mushroom gambling thing and you get like 2 in a row and you get all the things and you know look at like old rave mom talking about Mario and stuff. But it
Mario's still relevant, so you're fine.
It's backgroundy, right? And it's not necessarily backgroundy in a compelling way, because I think you don't have a lot of like subtle organic textures or noise or anything like that. So it is a little monotonous. And so I think it's a great idea, and I think it has a lot of potential, and you have some cool sounds, but it needs to go somewhere. Natty?
I mean, it's especially annoying to work on these sort of tracks as well, because like, you know, that bass, it's a very organic sounding bass line. And while I would definitely still tweak the notes you're using there, or at least if you're going to have something that dissonant to add tension, you don't do it every loop. You maybe do it every 4 loops with something like this. So it's suddenly, oh, okay, there's something a little bit almost creepy there. But I mean, also you need to go through every single repeat of it and tweak something about each velocity and how long the note lasts, because you're trying to effectively emulate a real life instrument, and it's almost uncanny valley when it sounds robotic like this, which isn't chill to listen to, because you know, everyone can pick up on something being wrong with it, even if not everyone can explain why.
Nice. By the way, this is like a dynamic thing. I don't know if all of you realize we can do this, but if any of you just feel like being on feedback with us and you want to get on camera, I can do this in like 2 minutes. If you are chilling and you want to come and actually spitball with us, we always love having company. I've just been so busy with prepping for the audience round next week that I have not been on my usual form. Let's go with Heist. Wait, why is the SoundCloud called Wyvern Exploit? This is confusing me.
Because people send me MP3s and expect us to play them. So I was like, okay, well, if you're okay with me dumping on my private dumping ground account, then fair enough.
Oh, that is so wonderful. But Wyvern Exploit is kind of cool. I think that should be like a different alias of yours. You know?
I mean, I was thinking of I use it as a label alias, actually.
Wyvern Exploit. I like it. All right. Did Heist have anything specific that they were looking for?
Yeah, they said this track goes through 3 distinct feels, then a 4th in which the first 3 are resampled and sliced. So the tonal shifts are purposeful. Interested in any criticism, but particularly ways to make it more cohesive and or to make the scrambled section more intense and convoluted. Thanks.
All right. Let us check out the Heist vibes. All right. Whoa. Whew. All right. That was a really cool idea. Hey, shouts out to Mio Music, brand new. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Feedback and Friends on the International Live Beat channel. Please check out ILBC.tv. And by the way, I'd also like to ask a favor from all of you watching. I would really like to give our YouTube channel an actual name, but we can't do that until we get like 100 subscribers. So I have a short link at the bottom that's scrolling across the screen. It's just bit.ly/ all caps, ILBC_YT. So if you go to bit.ly/ILBC_YT, that will get you to our YouTube. If you just subscribe, we can get a freaking channel name, because I would really love to put all the archives of all our competitions, all our workshops. We have a lot of stuff planned coming up. So please subscribe to our YouTube. That would be super awesome. On this track, needs lots of mixing. I could hear very loud cymbals, very loud like drum elements, and the panning of them was really extreme because they were so loud and everything else was so quiet, and there was a lot of mud. So one of the things that's really helpful to me, I don't know if I've shared this on the stream recently, so maybe this is worth sharing. So there is this frequency chart. It's called the interactive frequency chart, and it used to be up on a site and it then got taken down. So I'm going to show you the interactive frequency chart. Let me just... So it looks sketchy. I know it's a Russian site, but it's just this guy who put it back up after it was taken down. So thank you so much, Alexi. You're doing a service. So the link is Alexi, ALEXIY.NL/EQ. So what is this? This is a chart that shows you the entire frequency spectrum. And here's what I like about it. Not only is it interactive, and gives you advice, you can see, and it also shows you the ear response and what the frequency theory is. The red are the fundamentals, the yellow are the overtones. So when you look at something like this, right, it's no wonder that people have a hard time EQing, because look at everything. Look at how much all the fundamental frequencies overlap. But this can be really helpful for a few reasons. If you're coming from a traditional instrument background, and you want to know how to EQ, and you understand instruments, but you don't know like all the techie terms, you can go, hey, this mix is a little bit muddy. It kind of reminds me of like a bass trombone in the annoying parts. And then you can actually look at this chart. You can roll your mouse over it, and you can be like, oh, that would be between 58 to 400 hertz. Okay, I'm going to start looking for the mud. And then you can see the advice, like decrease to make sound thinner, increase to make sound fatter. Also, why I like this chart, in the bottom, there are all these words. So if you are a verbal person who's getting into mixing and you're like, I know how to describe it, but I don't know how to translate that into frequency, look at this. We have fullness in mud. We have tinny, whack, honk, crunch, sibilance, piercing. Super, super useful. Go to this. Just play with the EQs and see what you can remove and still keep the vibe, because usually the problem with a mix is there's just too many things going on in the same frequency in the same space. So you fix the frequency with EQing, and then you move to stereo imaging like panning and stuff like that. So this is like, instead of plugin of the week, I guess this is lesson of the week, this little EQ chart. It's just very, very clutch for anybody who either is trying to come from a traditional instrument background or is just like knows how to describe something but wants to learn how to translate that into numbers, because you can see the numbers are on the bottom, the frequency ranges are different colors like a rainbow, the words are here, the instruments are here. So I love this chart. I use it a lot to learn, and I just recommend it to anyone. It's just free, so why not? Natty, sorry, do you want to go back to this track here and lead your comments?
I mean, I like freebies as well, so I think it's worthwhile showing that one off. For me, this one suffers a little bit from the same problem that the other track has with the bass. I mean, it's not dissonant like the other one was, but it's also very inorganic, so you're going to have to go in and tweak all the settings for that. Maybe even add a little bit of overdrive to your bass, because I mean, it's a very flat bass right now, but I feel like it being a bit punchier and a little bit crispier would actually benefit what you're trying to do here. The other thing is I think your beat comes in too late on this track. It's sort of it's an actual live bass, and it should. So I mean, like, I don't know, this one. I mean, this is not this is a new song, right? And so there's I don't know. Bass is annoying. Bus compression. That's always fun too. Yes, new song. But most of the thing as well, context matters too. With the other one, yeah, it was overdone, but this one, it's like it could, you know, you've gone the other way now. It's a little bit too clean. But I mean, that's why every song you can't just slap the same processing chain on and expect it to work, because context is important.
Context is everything.
So it sounds like, I don't mean to give contradictory advice, but
Do it.
I mean, this one is nice though. I mean, it's almost sneaking music. It's a very, I mean, if you're living up to your name here with the whole heist vibes thing. It actually sounds like someone's in the middle of sneaking around a building or something. It is very, Calaxis agrees. It's very sneaky. If you released your song, and I mean, Falavi is saying, if I release my song on Spotify, are you allowed to play it? And yeah, we're having to basically stay away from playing anything actually released.
We'll come back to that because we have a whole we wanted to have a little discussion about like the algorithms and stuff because I thought it was interesting. But we're gonna play a bit more music, and right around the top of the next hour we'll have a little chat about release stuffs. But yeah, unless you have specifically stipulated in your release that you allow Creative Commons, which means people can play it and share it, and as long as they say who it is. Unless you know for sure that you have enabled that, your label is going to flag us, okay? We're also going to play some trivia games today, so pay attention because you may have just gotten the answer to something. Ooh. Honestly, that question was almost like it was an industry plant to foreshadow what's going on in the trivia game, but I swear it's not. It's just a coincidence. Sorry, this has been very distracting. I apologize, Heist, but you just brought up a lot of interesting points, and the chat did. Anything else to say on this track before we move to the next one, Natty?
Well, man, keep working. It's nice to see that you've got more ideas and maybe more sneaky music in the works. I would listen to it.
I love sneaky music. Next up, we have Load Us. What's going on with that?
I think I submitted this before, and I've been working on it ever since. I'd appreciate feedback on the mix specifically, but any feedback is greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. Let's do it. I always got to be muted at least once during a stream. All right. So let me start again. Basically agreeing with the chat. I want a harder snare. I want a more saturated snare, and I want kick as well. So running it through some saturation is a good idea. I love Unfiltered Audio, Dent, and Indent as plugins. They have some really good algorithms. Waves also make some good ones. Maybe analog emulating plugins in general would be. So I'm trying to repeat myself. I don't think you missed it, but yeah, basically just agreed on the drums, but I think that the sound design was super mesmerizing. I loved it, and I was totally lost. I almost was just like, oh, the track's ending. I think I'm supposed to unmute my mic now, right? Just in this floating distance, because I was in such a cool, epic landscape, and I really loved it. Natty, what did you think?
I mean, on the whole, I think it was very solid, especially the second half. I loved when it got really, really intense. But I mean, you definitely take a look at your kick. It's way too transient-y for this track. And it's also just way louder than everything else, to the point where it's smashing into your limiter and bringing everything else down with it. So, I mean, fix that, and maybe also add a little bit more dynamic percussion in the back, because I noticed you got a lot of synth action, but you don't have a lot going on with things like, hats and shakers and stuff like that. Because while it's high energy, it doesn't feel like it's as high energy as it could be. And I think it's more just because you are missing a couple of little subtle elements in the back there to give it that rhythmic tension. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think so. But this is great. I mean, this is a really, really nice.
The synth work is fantastic. It genuinely is.
We have really good use of ear candy.
Ear candy.
Love you all. What's up next, Natty? Who's got something to say now?
We've got Chase up next.
Oh, Chase up next. Oh my gosh, I just got really excited. Chase.
And they asked, is this ready for Ibiza?
Ibiza. You know what's really... maybe I should do that when I go back. I've never been, and it's like a 20-minute flight from Valencia, where I was living. So it feels super shameful. All right, let's check out what Chase has. Always super exciting. I'd just like to point out that this man has said he's available for mastering services. I would definitely go and get them from him. I mean, this is such a nice, pleasant mix. I do hear what Baco was saying about how maybe just that one lead is a little bit harsh. And I have very high sensitive headphones, and I don't have my SonarWorks on today because I had so many problems with audio routing when we got started. I was like, I don't even want to bring SonarWorks into the mix, literally, but it sounds great to me, but that lead may be just a tiny bit of high sensitive. So it could just be if you have high sensitive headphones, it might be like exactly at the max level and it's pushing it over the edge. But yeah, I feel like I'm on the moon as well, as Baco said. Natty, have you been to the moon?
No, not even in dreams.
Really?
The moon is a foreign entity to me. What is the moon? Is it made of cheese?
I hope so. And what kind of cheese? Would it be like a queso fresco or like more like a buffalo mozzarella? Or like a Gruyere? What kind of... I should ask Zavi, he's Swiss. He would probably know what kind of cheese the moon is made of. If anyone knows, please post it in the chat.
I mean, is this track ready for Ibiza? Well, we're talking like we're high when we're not. So, yes?
Yes, absolutely. Good point.
D-Mask saying it's vegan cheese. Oh god, it means it smells bad.
No. It's American.
Vegan
We were there first.
Oh, it says cheese. Like, so what is it? Wait, are you talking about cheese singles or what's the other one?
Cheese strings. Oh, if you could
Cheese
peel the
strings,
moon, man.
Oh, I love cheese strings.
Calaxis, does the song have a drug in it? Because y'all just turned high as hell. Seriously, no. I mean, I think that means it is Ibiza ready, right? Because we're like all spacing out, and we've all gone to this universe. I love it, and I would go to the moon if it sounded like this, for sure. You?
Yes, and I think that on the whole, I mean, this obviously it's a late night track. It's not what you'd start the party with. It's what you're there at 2, 3, 4 a.m. How late do they party in Ibiza? Do you know?
All night.
So 6 a.m. This is a 6 a.m. tune.
In Spain,
when everyone's
you know what's crazy? Like, so Nadia came to Bristol, which was our first round of ILBC, and we were trying to go around and get dinner at 9:30 p.m. and we could not. Like, basically everywhere was closing the kitchen. In Spain, you can't even get dinner until 8:30, and if you go at 8:30, the kitchen is still opening and no one's there, and you won't get any food till like 9:30 anyways. So it's definitely a culture shock. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, many parts. It's only in London that you see a lot of places opening till like midnight.
Really? And then in Spain, it's like they don't open till 9. And funny stuff. But yeah, Ibiza ready, but I agree, 3 or 4 a.m. for sure. You have to get people zonked in. But it's a great tune. Sweet. Alta Noah?
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Alta Noah? How you doing? What are you looking to find out from us today?
Element choice and mix.
Okay. All right.
Mix.
The mix.
The mix.
I feel like this track is about to go somewhere else. It's gone like 3 different places. Man, this is a lot. And as Schlop is saying, as a lot of people are saying, it's a few different styles in the same song, and it's really going to be hard to make mixed decisions because each of these genres is mixed a little bit differently and has different elements in the foreground, and yet you're trying to make it cohesive and make it one track. So please, make this 3 tracks, and that would really be all I would say, because I think that a lot of your mix issues, and there are some, it basically just too much frequency, which is what I was just addressing when we were looking at the chart a few minutes ago. Like, you need to do some cleanup, some notches. You need to figure out what frequencies need to be emphasized in which parts, and then you need to make those pieces fit together like puzzle pieces. But you also need to make some decisions on, like, okay, this is a little bit like, I was just reading an article on conjoined twins, and it's a little bit like you need to split those ideas. Those ideas are like 2 ideas that are kind of just stuck together. And terrible metaphor. I'm sorry, I was just on my mind because I was just reading the article. But you need to separate those ideas into their own separate, because they deserve to be. You know, you have like a really up track, and then you have like this neuro idea, which is really interesting, and then you have like these ambient, really nice. No, I would make them different tracks, honestly, not just mix them separately. I would make them different tracks. Natty, what do you think? I don't know.
I mean, in some ways, this track suffers for something I'm very, very guilty of. And that is trying to mush up genres that I've not actually made individually, to the point where you're kind of doing all of them not to their best. I mean, that's... I think it's meant to be like a violin or something in like the string instrument. I'm pretty sure it's meant to be a violin. And it doesn't sound like you've spent a huge amount of time playing about with orchestral instruments by themselves to the point where it just sounds super fake. And I mean, whether that's the library you're using specifically or whether it's just because you've used very flat MIDI programming, it's hard to tell immediately without some conversation. So I mean, I'd love to know what MIDI, what sound library you're using for those strings. That'd be interesting. There are plenty of free ones that you might worth stacking different free ones together to get more dynamics that way and different takes. But yeah, and then you go hardcore with the donk, but the donk itself is very undefined. It's not quite donkey enough, which is my words are failing me, I guess. And but yeah, it's like you got all these individual ideas and it's all good, and I have no problem with you mushing them together. It's just, walk before you can run, if we're going to bring back all the old sayings, Isha.
Walk before you can run. Yeah. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. We're trying to bring back Victorian sayings, so post your best Victorian hipster sayings in the chat. By the way, Joshua Bell violin is so excellent. I love it. I love it. I love it. Embertone makes such great contact libraries. Good choice. Anything else, Natty?
So, I mean, just, it's good that you're having fun with it. I mean, I approve. I approve of what you're trying to do.
By the way, I don't want to jinx it, but our OBS cams are working better in this new version so far. Let's just pray to the gods that it continues, as we have DJ Plague up next, which sounds very ominous.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Plague, get some rest. Drink lots of fluids. What other feedback are you looking for?
I would like to know if my song is catchy enough to dance to. And their username on Discord is apparently Lady Evil.
All right. Is it catchy enough to dance to?
So all around, yeah.
Oh, that is a high stakes. All right, let's see.
Yeah.
Woo. Well, definitely catchy enough to dance to. I think you saw us both doing our little awkward, living room nerd dances. Natty, we got to do this in person. We got to come up with like the feedback nerd dance move. Definitely catchy, but yeah, I think it needs to change up a bit. It stays, it's a cool sound, but it is a little bit hollow and it stays the same the whole time. So it needs to go somewhere, huh? Nat? You're muted. Not from me. This is not my fault, everybody. This is not my fault.
It's not your fault.
There you go.
Anyway, sorry, I've been juggling things and trying to not let my typing ruin everyone's experience. I didn't like the first donk as much as the second set of donk melodies. I felt they were better. And I feel like it's because when you start out, you're really, really stuttery. And it doesn't really allow us to lock in a groove, which makes it harder to dance to. So it's not like your whole track is hard, like it's not catchy enough. But sometimes it's not about whether you can remember a melody, but you also need to be able to settle into the gaps between the melody if you want to dance to it. Like, there's plenty of songs out there that are really quite catchy, but they're impossible to dance to.
True. Well, this is danceable for sure. My vote is yes.
Well, I think especially once you get through to the second melody on your donk, that works better, a lot better.
I like how seriously you say the word donk. It's like you're a doctor writing a prescription, like, to improve your donk.
Needs more donk.
Please add 3 donks twice daily over the course of 2 weeks. Do not consume within 2 hours of operating heavy machinery. Donks must be exclusively protein. Anyways, big shouts out to Nick Beeman. Thank you so much. You're such a supporter, and we love you, and you really are appreciated. So you're up next. We got a track called Tilt Proof. Is there anything specific?
They said for this one, I don't. There's no feedback given unless there's another.
Well,
no, there's no feedback for this one.
Well, he can give him all the feedback he wants. I think that's what he means.
Yeah.
In a Tesla world all covered in flames, do we stand a chance? In a battle that never seems to end, keep fighting, keep trying, hold the line, you'll be fine. It's time to rise and become a challenge worthy their eyes. Yet another season begins. Here we go, trying to pin the win. Oh, so many of us fail on the path to become a challenger worthy of your eyes. But we keep on fighting to the end. So bring your friends and let's pretend. Go back to the rift once again. You'll have another try, but I'll just fry the sorry eggs of your pie. Are you ready to cry? Say what? Where do we begin in a total world of covered in flames? Do we stand a chance in the battle that never seems to end? Our friends are gathering to stop the madness from spreading. Moving swift towards the rift with your tilt-proof fighters, survivors of vanguard will catch you off guard. In your backyard. Tilt, proof, tilt, tilt, proof, tilt, not, tilt, proof, tilt, tilt, proof, tilt, not.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! That was really a surprise ending. How rude! I was getting so.
What happened there?
I was so into it. I was just like, yeah, this is oh. Okay, please give us an ending. That was great vocals. I really, really like your melodies, your breathing, and Barrett is just echoing what I'm saying here. I wasn't even looking, but vocals are very good. Enunciation is great. You have good breath support, and your accent is interesting. There was some distortion on the vox. Yeah, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I really, really like the sound of your voice. I think that maybe the balance between the vocals and the rest of the mix could be explored a bit. It's always so tricky when it's your own voice and you're trying to mix it. But I know that like in a pop context, it makes sense to have the vocal a little louder. And in an electronic music context, usually you would put it a bit quieter. And I think maybe a halfway in between approach would be good here, because it seems like I want to feel like the bottom, the bass and the drums a little bit more than I do. You know what I mean, Natty?
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. I mean, I also feel like this one's building up to a really bit crushed drum and sort of bassy section, like where it's like kind of thing. I think we're in. So I am looking for a rapper, Nick says. I mean, why can't you do it yourself? I feel like you might have a decent enough voice but it doesn't have to be super fast or anything. You know, just sort of be shouty. I think that you can get away with it with this sort of track. Shouty.
Aye.
And maybe even just deliberately crank this. If you are distorting, you know, maybe pull it back a bit to make it sound deliberate when you crank it later. I think that's the move. Because while I do kind of like the aesthetic, right now it does sound unintentional. Mm-hmm. So I mean, but I honestly love the atmosphere, and I'm really, really annoyed that you didn't give us an ending to it. Let's see. Bako saying, but for a video game cutscene as a promo video, it'd work great. I think in the video game it might be too distracting, but it depends. I mean, like you could have, I don't know, some sort of combat scene, and where the player itself, like themselves, isn't learning new strategies in the game or anything. They're just going through the motions. And hello, peoples.
Hello.
Yeah, I think that you know, for a promo video, this would be really, really dramatic and powerful. And honestly, it's gonna be really cool when it's finished.
Yeah, I think so too. Super cool. Thank you, Nick, for all your support. Love what you're doing. Who's up next, Natty?
It was sorry, Galaxy is up next. Sorry, I forgot to paste the link. I was enjoying that one too much.
Oh, when you enjoyed it so much that you've tripped up Natty. All right, what's up with Galaxy today?
This song is a remaster of an old song I made called Malwa Funk. It's a Hideki Nagnuma Jet Set Radio inspired Friday Night Funking song featuring my original character Gallium.
Oh, cool. I love Jet Set Radio. I used to have a Dreamcast, and I originally I only bought it for Soul Calibur, but I ended up playing Jet Set Radio, and that was one of my favorites. So this is Malware Groove by Galaxy.
Get
right. That was definitely some vintage stuff. Fun, like almost black MIDI, says Barrett. Totally, like that was a little bit crazy, and there was a lot going on. I would do some heavy invisible side chaining, like really harsh side chain things to each other to clean up some space. I would play with some panning, just like, because I love the Jet Set Radio vibe and I love that vintage thing. But now you need to modernize it with some more like space and texture elements from modern production and make it more like pleasing to listen to. Because the problem is it just sort of sits in the same spot and it's not very dynamic. And that's sort of more what I want to hear, right? What do you think, Natty?
I mean, I definitely hear the whole "It's a Friday Night Funking" track. I've seen some videos of people playing that on YouTube, and effectively what we're hearing in that weird sort of vocal choppy lead melody is it wouldn't be present in the track as if it was inserted in the game. That would be activated by the player following the directions on the track. But I also feel like it might be still a little bit too much. But this would be the sort of the extreme hardcore difficulty level version of the track. And where it has just all these notes all over the place.
Yeah.
But you mean maybe have a look at seeing if you can write a version of this that cuts it down a little bit and has it so that it matches an easier difficulty level if you're going to release this as a thing. That would be kind of where I'd go with it. Look at the simpler builds on that game.
Yeah, I like that suggestion from Bako, like reduce the ear candy a bit and find a Japanese vocalist or vocal sample as the hook, you know? That seems like an interesting idea for me.
But I mean, as it stands, it's harder to listen to outside of the context of the game, I think, is the problem.
I agree. Yeah. Anything else? I think we can move on to spatial vibration.
Yeah, spatial vibration next.
Nice.
Burp, 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 burp. All these pings, my Discord is just going mad.
All right. What's up with our homie spatial vibration?
Nothing. There's no commentary whatsoever.
All right. Well, let's check it out. All right.
We're drifting in the dark. Can we do better? Wish I could rewind back to the start. Can we do better than this? Better. You got me high, then drop me low. You got there's something I can seem to let go.
All right. There's a few funny things going on mix-wise. You wanna address them first, Natty?
I mean, I think a lot of the comments here are kind of right about it. I mean, there needs more side chaining for a start, sidechain compression. I mean, there's not enough pump to the track. The bass and the kick are kind of eating each other alive, which isn't. I mean, we listen to this bit, for example, here. The kick is kind of flat, and then the bass is sort of sitting in the wrong octave. Bacco and Barrett having a disagreement in chat about the vocals. Barrett says that he thinks that the male vocal and the female vocal aren't complementing each other. But I mean, I think it's because they don't occupy the same space. I mean, they don't sound like they're living in the same room singing together. They sound like they're singing down at, like, they're on the telephone in two separate rooms or across the bridge or something, and it's clearly not the same. So you'd have to, hello Beat Cleaver, thank you for the raid. 19 people. Welcome everybody. This is ILBC TV, Feedback and Friends.
Oh.
If you're tuning in the first time, every week we meet up on Wednesday nights, association with the Electronic Music Production and Performance Discord and the EDM production Reddit, and we get community submissions into our forum, and it's really cool. I mean, and we get a wide variety of music. Caught me by surprise.
Thank you so much for the raid, and just hello to everybody. We're actually having another crazy event next Wednesday, or round 3 of the International Live Beat Challenge. We have an Audius, a remix contest, which just closed. We have so much going on, so happy to connect with y'all, and let's just keep moving forward with some of the great tunes that we have. Who is up? I'm going to keep going on that. I think you've given all the mix ideas that we can, so I just want to kind of just jump in with some music right away. So let's move on to, is it Flav? Flav has got a track called Wonders. And did they want any specific feedback today?
Their comment was just asking for general feedback on this one.
General feedback.
Overall opinion, be hard, smiley face.
Be hard. Oh,
roasting?
They want to be roasted. All right, so for those of you who are new to Feedback and Friends, we don't usually like roast people per se. So I hesitate to start this off with roasting because that's not my vibe. We're like a super encouraging community and we love a lot of things. And I'm going to just, as roasty as I get, I'm going to say it's a little bit backgroundy for me. You know, it sounds a little bit like a licensing tune that would be used in a scene and something that doesn't have too much going on to compensate the dialogue. So it needs a little bit more individual touches for me. And, you know, as we love to say on the show, ear candy.
Ear candy.
because I think actually your drop is really tight, like the way that like bass hits, it's nice and round and kind of analog sounding, and it goes with this whole progressive genre. But again, even that is sort of like a very standard treatment. It should sound like that. So you have the elements in the right places. Now go wild, you know, have your spring break. Have your producer spring break where you just like go away to Miami and like whatever happens to you there, you go a little wild and you try something new. Add some Foley, add some organic, add a special sample that you made yourself, you know. Sometimes even just the process of making something that is so uniquely yours will inspire your energy. Like I remember a time I was stuck on a track and I went did some dishes and I was kind of mad at myself for being in the studio for so long and I just started banging the dishes around and I was like, oh, that was really great. And all of a sudden I've got my field recorder out and I'm just like slamming bowls against the sides of the walls and like gotta get that take. And then suddenly I was in the studio jamming, and then that communicates. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, you have the building blocks. Now I know I want that layer of something quirky and something a little different. Natty, roast 'em, toast 'em.
I mean, it's going to be hard to beat Barrett tonight. He was saying, his comment was this ripped from a commercial or Christian radio? Like, my God, that's harsh. I can't beat. I mean, have you found God with this trackish?
Christian, I remember I found in a used CD store once Christian dubstep compilation. I kid you not. There is actually, and then I looked into it, and Vice magazine did an article on it. There is a whole Christian dubstep movement. It's really interesting. It all sounds like that 2012 Lindsey Sterling track, like Be Forewarned. That's what Christian dubstep sounds like, but it is a thing. Baco says, man, we said roast, not immolate with a flamethrower. I do think that was probably a top level roast. But Natty, please, you have.
Oh, I mean, in more constructive feedback, I mean, I think what this track needs, if you're gonna start stealing from Deadmau5's closet, you need filter automation.
Keep going.
I'm sorry. I'm
no,
harsh.
no. They asked for it. They asked for it.
Yeah, but like, because what I was saying, especially that brassy sound, the filter needs to open up. So you it moves away from a brass to a sawtooth sort of sound, and it gets more gritty and intense, especially if you can automate a saturation curve as well, because you can automate everything. And this sort of progressive house does need it, because your melody itself is so inherently repetitive. And like, that's not a criticism. This genre is melodically repetitive. That's the point. It's meant to make you into a hypnotic like trancey kind of vibe, but it's more down tempo, and so all the in-betweeny textures matter really, really a lot. And so, you know, that's where I'd start with improving it, is find creative ways to automate your cutoffs and your saturation and your general dynamics in terms of your volume of your track, because right now there's no crescendo and it needs one in order to really so work on that. The other thing I think is your kick is a little bit too buried under everything else, and you know, I need that dynamic between the kick and the hat and maybe a few other percussive sounds on the downbeat to really get into that house groove. I mean, you're close, but I mean, it's not quite punchy enough yet. And this is when I say steal from Deadmau5's closet, I mean, maybe take that seriously. Go use some of his tracks as a reference, or Lane 8.
Well,
Or is it lane 8?
You know what? Okay, so I had this thing with Dead Mouse for years. I was very averse to anything that was popular. I was always that kind of person. And at some point I realized that was just as stupid as like liking things just because they're popular is just as stupid as not liking things because they're popular. So now I'm a little bit more flexible. But what I noticed when I finally opened my mind up and I was like, you know, it would benefit me as a producer to figure out why people love Dead Mouse. He has simple classic sounds and you have those sounds and he's got the mix down, but he also has really sophisticated chord progressions that almost borrow from like really high level classical music theory. And that's really what gets people, right? Is this very like high level chords. So even though the sounds are simple, the chord progressions are so interesting. And I think that could be a direction to go of being weird, you know? When I said go on your spring break, maybe you need to go on some sort of chord theory spring break camp. That sounds wild. I want a chord theory spring break camp. But yeah, that's exactly
Maybe we
it.
should host one.
Ooh. Nerd alert. All right, we're going to move on to Calaxis, a track called Event Horizon. Big ups. Calaxis has been on the show before. Is there anything specific today, Natty?
The recordings can be a bit messy, but I want to get the idea down. And the drop is in 11/8 because I want to experiment a bit with the odd time smiley face.
11/8? Oh my God.
Smiley face.
Smiley face. Oh, pro tip I learned from one of my colleagues, like when I had my first job in years, you can say anything you want as long as you put a smiley face on it.
Sometimes there's a fire in your eyes and it burns brighter than the stars in the sky. And I know when it comes to you and I, we will never be together, but it's not gonna die.
You know what? That was so, I got to be honest, I was expecting that to be way less accessible than it was, you know? As soon as I heard 11/8, my whole like music theory, insecure, like, I don't want to listen to that stuff, you know, it came out, but it was so good. Like, it was such a cool twist on it and it still seemed okay. Like, it wasn't one of those time signatures. Like, sometimes I hear them and I'm like, you're just trying to be weird. And it doesn't sit right. But in this case, it seems really natural. It seems really cool. I think that it's a good framework. So now you have like that bass sound, that single saw-y kind of sound. I would really develop that, automate it, change it up, do some hocketing with it, like do some side chaining, break it up, make it take turns, syncopate it, go crazy with that now, because the rest of the idea is really cool, but the sound itself gets a little drony for me. What do you think, Natty?
I mean, I'm in agreement. I also agree with Barrett here saying the vocal performance sounds like I'm unsure of this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I mean, a lot of my early demos when I'm working on a track idea sound just like this. So obviously I have no doubt that Calaxis will go back over this and redo it. But I mean, obviously I'd say finish the entire track arrangement first. Focus on that before going back and faffing about with vocal takes and stuff, because it's a pain in the ass and it can actually kill your drive to finish a song when you have to go that nitty-gritty. So don't do that. I'd maybe see about, while the 11/8 feels natural, obviously you're going to have a hard time transitioning back into a 4/4 kind of arrangement for any post-drop chorusy sections. So I mean, maybe just have that one switch up at the start of your track and then stick with 11/8 for the rest of it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like that idea
I mean,
too.
Bacco suggested maybe taking a transition during a break and no 8. I mean, so the transition from 11 to 8 to 6/8 is too rough. I mean, it depends on what your goal is. Do you mean if you want people to dance to it, then yes, it makes it really hard to keep up. But if your goal is entirely just thematic and you've got some good artistic reason for doing it, then no, it's fine. So I mean, you just have to be explicit about what you're trying to do here. The 11/8 feels very old school, like, you know, it's like a ballroom dance. And it's nice. I really enjoy it. But
You're
then
the belle
you
of the
don't-
ball. You're the belle of the ball, Calexis. Since the theme of our show this week is bringing back obsolete Victorian expressions, if you're just joining us, we've been talking about throwing the baby out with the bathwater, not
And
looking
that-
a gift horse in the mouth. If you wanna join in with your favorite medieval or Victorian hipster expressions, we're trying to bring those back today, friends.
I mean, yeah, now we're back to a masquerade.
We're back
That's
to-
basically where this is.
A masquerade. It is pretty waltzy. I
Masquerade.
like your vocals too. I think it is an early demo too. So as others have said, you will get tighter with that when you do later demos. But I like the idea, and I think this is super original. So go for it.
I also think maybe keep your vocals as natural as possible, but the aesthetic itself works with the track.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Next up, we got Lost Signal with a track called Burn My Heart. What's the story with this one, Nat?
Just a song from my girlfriend.
Aw.
Smiley face.
Aww. You're so good. I already like you.
I fall in and I never learn. The same flame and I'm always hurt, picking my pieces from the ashes on the floor. Push away, but it's killing me. Smoke lungs when I try to breathe, filling me up with doubts. I hold them in my core. Oh, when you're here, oh, when you're near, oh, it burns, and nothing I felt before. Oh, when you're here, oh, when you're near, oh, it burns, like nothing I felt before, like nothing I felt before. Like nothing I felt before. So close and I'm terrified. Distrust when I'm on a high, I can't stop, so I'm here waiting on the fall. Pull me close and it's hard to leave. I didn't think I could ever feel something like this, and now I know I need it all. Oh, when you're here, oh, when you're near, oh, it burns, and nothing I felt before. Oh, when you're here, oh, when you're near, oh, it burns, like nothing I felt before, like nothing I felt before.
my gosh. I know I speak for like everybody when I went. Flames are still on, man. That's just basically all I got to say. The flames were still on because the vocal performance, that really just, my God, you know, it really, this is a great example of how just having a really amazing vocal is like 90%, you know, even though we make crazy futuristic stuff with sounds, we still have this innate like vibe and response to a really emotive and intimate human voice, right? That is such a straight to the heart connection and beautiful. I mean, as Barrett says, I would release it, and Moldy Soul said I could listen to a whole chill version of this. I would love hearing that. I would love for you to do an edit that's just this vocal and like some piano or like intimate live versions. You know what I've been getting really into that's just melting my heart is like I got obsessed with Fred again, like everybody else, with the Boiler Room set, and I started digging in and I found out that he has all these videos on his YouTube of him just sitting on like his rooftop with like a MIDI keyboard and a mic and a projector and, you know, a couple other things, and he just plays his songs live, and sometimes he just like plays piano and sings, and it's just like basically that and some chill elements, and it is just astounding. It's mind-blowing, especially because then you have like alternatives for your different moods. If you want to go out, you listen to the up-tempo version. If you want to just like chill under the blankets, you've got your like cozy cuddle-up version. I love it. Natty?
I mean, I couldn't really hear anything to tweak in this one either. I mean, I agree with Daniel McPhee. The vocals are so smooth. I love the kicks also and everything else. Moldy Soul's star saying sits on dusty hard drive for next 3 months. I mean, I hope not, but I mean, it depends on your goal, obviously. If you're going label shopping, it might still take a while. Even if a song's amazing, labels are weird. But if you're willing to just release this independently, chuck it out next month if you can. It's a really good song. I would put this in my collection because it's really powerful and emotional, and it resolves properly, which is something that's sometimes hard to do with this sort of track. Everything builds up naturally, and also the fact that you made it for your girlfriend is cute. I like that.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I forgot that that's how we started. Like that was such a standalone song. Like there was nothing cheesy about it, but wow. You are that's so far that might be my song of the day so far. You know, I usually don't say things like that, but you know what? So far, that is my favorite. That has really touched my heartstrings. Thank you so much for that. Next up we have Aznadel. I feel like I just did I just curse somebody by saying that? Aznadel.
Only if you say it backwards.
3 times in front of the mirror with a candle. Any specific feedback on this one?
I'd love any thoughts you have on the track.
Thanks for that emotion, Maddie. That was way better.
Okay.
What the You know, that was a jinx situation. Of course, all I had to do was say I had my favorite track of the day, and then this had to be the next one that I played. So let's say that that's at least tied. That is, wow. I am totally biased. Full disclosure, this is like exactly my alley, my genre, my lane. I am in my studio in Denver right now. So I'm really, really, really feeling this. My gosh, as Moldy Soul says, I don't even know how half the sound design in this song was done. I would love to know more. I'd love to know your favorite tools and plugins. And I feel like you must be like someone's secret alias, because I cannot believe that you have this like low-key SoundCloud account. You're from Denver. That's why, right? I feel this genetic.
Why are all these people from Denver?
Well, you know, the Wook is actually a term that comes from our version of the Sasquatch. It's a magical, hairy, tie-dyed being that just gives out bass vibes and just contaminates everyone around them with seriously. For anyone in Denver, I'm actually playing at a festival this Saturday. I haven't said that phrase in like 3 years. Literally, this is my first show in Denver in 3 years, my only show all year. It's going to be at the Denver Polo Club, and it's at a festival called High Ground. So you should really go, because the lineup includes Troy Boy, Toki Monster, and Chromeo. And I'm being straight up, like, those are like three of my favorite artists. So I'm biased, but it's going to be dope. Schlop, that was not personally for you, but, you know, we are Denver. We're all Wooks. We are all Wooks. So, yeah, come and check out. I want to find a little High Ground festival. If for anybody interested in going, I will be there. And there's also this really cool organization called Boredom Fighters, and they do these instrument gardens for kids. So I'm going to be there too. Oh, What's So Not is playing. I forgot as well. Elohim, Jolie and Asia, Aluna, Matty O'Neill, Kovacs, and a bunch of Denver.
It's a good lineup.
Lucid. Yeah, I forgot about Elohim. I've heard is really cool live. Jolie and Asia. Troy Boy is just. Last time I saw Troy Boy was at like ADE in the Netherlands in 2017, and it's just such a good party. But absolutely, Aznadel, you're a beast. Let me know more about you when I can see your playing. I can hear more of your music. If you have some dubs for me to play on Saturday, ha ha ha. I just it's been a while. I'm really excited to do that again. So yeah, let's have a meetup, please. And for anyone who's just tuning in, we are having a crazy event next Wednesday. We are having the Audius Remix Finals and live performance competition. That's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern. I really think it's going to be super sick. Our contestants include Really Ryan, who has like a MIDI theremin that controls audio and video. Annie Elise, who plays keys, violin, other stuff. Coach Fernley, who does like turntablism, drums, everything. And Reset, who's also doing live AV and like custom launchpad visual setup. So it's going to be real thick. I wanted to test something out. I totally forgot, but Natty, do you have any specific feedback for Aznadel while I see how this is going to go?
Well, I mean, I really enjoyed it, and I find it sometimes a bit difficult to enjoy really weird, wonky bass. But the wonk in this was so satisfying. Like, it's just on the edge of being too weird, but it works really, really well. I definitely identify that color bass influence in there, which is cool. And I mean, it'd be very interesting to see what your process is when you write stuff like this. I mean, what makes you decide to make to go in this direction? Because it's certainly nothing that resembles my influences personally.
So we're testing this out, everybody. So this is a fun thing that we might be doing, or we will be doing, for our Audius challenge and maybe for our finals. I've got this new thing that allows you to vote live for people, which is what I'm using to vote for contestants, but it also lets us do trivia. I don't know how to undo this 2-minute countdown, so keep talking, Natty, because I'm going to just go back until it's ready to go. But we're going to do some EDM trivia just to test out how it works.
It's you put me on the spot, darn it.
Natty.
I can't improvise, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's starting in 57 seconds. Can we just enjoy how funny this is going to be? So there's going to be only 4 questions because, this is a test. But basically, you're going to be able to type, I think it's a number in the chat to respond to each question. And we will come up with some prizes. I think EDM sticker pack, EDMP sticker pack is what's on the table right now. So yeah, first feedback on these polls. We're going to have to really figure out how to take this countdown away because it's super annoying. Oh my God. But yeah, look at the flyer on the right. If you're getting bored of this countdown, the virtual round, we have the Audius Remix Finals. So we're going to have a listening party for the top 8. And we had 101 remixes submitted to the Audius competition, which is unbelievable. I haven't even had the time to list them, let alone listen to them. So it's going to be crazy. We're going to have Hannah play a showcase. She's a really awesome violinist. We're going to have some giveaways and we're going to have the amazing contestants. Oh my gosh, the trivia game is starting. Okay. When was the first digital audio workstation considered to have been released? Option 1, 45 years ago. Option 2, 37 years ago. Option 3, 30 years ago. And option 4, 18 years ago. So basically in the chat, you have to comment one of the number to answer. We're going to be patient. I don't really understand how this is going to work. And then
I'd say pick 4 people, pick 4.
How do I switch?
Sunny
Okay. And next question. How do I even I don't know how to change to the next question now. Oh, it's just doing it.
It just does it.
Oh. Okay. All right. Let's see what happens.
Answers.
Computing.
I guess it's going to tell us how many people voted for what.
All right. Yes, no, I'm not doing this manually, Baco. This is the point. I'm doing this on this. Oh, the correct answer is 45 years ago, and we got Stasis, Dan, Mac, and Barrett got the correct answer. Isn't that unbelievable? The first DAW is considered to have been released in 1977, and it's called something with an S. Soundstream. There we go. It was called Soundstream. It was developed as the first digital recorder. It brought together a mini computer, disk drive, video display, and the software to all run it. Isn't that crazy? 45 years ago. Next question. Which of these genres is completely made up and does not even exist on Spotify? Genre 1, French post-Italo disco. Genre 2, escape room. Genre 3, black sludge. Genre 4, abstracto. So which one of these is fake? You have, I guess, an arbitrary amount of minutes, which I have no idea how to control. But this is fun though. Okay, so it's not too bad. So answer the question: which one is fake and does not exist? And
1, 2, 3, or 4. That's.
Oh, I see. There's a counter on the top. I just noticed that.
Yeah, it just
And
it does
the
seem
correct
arbitrary.
answer of the made-up genre is actually. We need the ticking clock, and I need my air horn.
Boom.
It's 1. I made that up. Black sludge, abstracto. It fooled you all. I swear to God, it's a genre that apparently is off the back of complextro. It's more abstract than complextro, and it's called abstracto. So French post-Italo disco. Barrett got me. Sunny the Skies got me. So, all right, next question. Oh, there is like a countdown underneath my little EDM trivia. Cool. All right, so which of these services is safe to stream without copyright strikes? You see, this is going to segue into our little discussion. So which one can we stream from? Spotify, SoundCloud, Monstercat, or DistroKid? Which of these is safe to stream using on your stream? And you will not get a copyright strike. And look, this is actually something I wanted to discuss further because I'm still kind of exploring the limits of what we can do, because obviously we're here for original music, but people do remixes, people do mashups, and I really wish that we could even play their own released music. But unfortunately, the answer is you can only stream out of these Monstercat. All right. That is the correct answer. Monster Cat has actually registered their services, and XE Fusion and Dan Mac got this right. It is not safe to stream from SoundCloud because people can put released music on SoundCloud too. If the algorithm detects any released music and it discovers that there is no Creative Commons on it, then you're screwed. So it doesn't matter if it's SoundCloud or not, but Monster Cat actually has their catalog. DistroKid I put in there because a lot of you release yourself on DistroKid. You tell me it's safe. It's not unless you set it up in your agreement, because it's called Creative Commons. It means that other people can share it as long as they attribute it. Question 4, the final question. What is an 808? A kick, a bass, neither, or both? You could tell that Natty and I were running out of steam at this point. You have 25 seconds to answer the idiom trivia.
This is too hard.
This is too hard. Is this a trick question? Do we even know? Well, this is...
It's the point where we're all losing our minds.
This is fun. I want to do this every week. Correct answer. What is the correct answer? Is this like an existential debate? Maybe there is no right answer. Maybe this is one of the things that at the end of time, when there's just two old cranky people arguing, they will be arguing over what is an 808. Fun fact, it is both. It is both because people use it as a bass and as a kick. So if people talk about that 808, they could be talking about a bass, which they usually are if they're like rappers. But if they're nerdy synth aficionados, they probably will say that it's a kick. So it was technically this is a trick one. I don't know that this actually has a right answer, because you could be like, well, what was it originally meant as? Well, it was meant as a kick drum, but people discovered that it was so good in the bass that they use it as a bass. It's a wave signal. So that was really a tricky question. And the winner is a tie, apparently, between Sunny Skies, Dan Mac, and Stasis Stigma. Woohoo! You will be eligible to receive an EDM sticker pack. So if you DM me your address on Discord or in some other way, I swear I'm not a doxer. You could easily dox me in a much more painful way. But I will mail you an EDM sticker pack. Thank you for playing, everybody. That has been our very first edition of EDM Trivia. My Discord tag is ill-esha. Sadly, it used to be 6969, but it's now 1866 because I lost my nitro privileges. Because people need to talk more.
Oh yeah, I can have that now.
So next up, speaking of stasis, stigma, and stuff, I wanted to just talk about this copyright thing. So there's apparently this system called Audible Magic or Audible. This is the algorithm that Twitch uses, and I don't really know how to figure out. Like sometimes people send me, okay, this is a remix, but I've pitched down this and I've automated this. It's called Audible Magic. That's what it's called, and basically. This is something I'll go back to here for a second. I'm going to turn off my trivia because basically this is the platform they use and it's content recognition. So essentially, if this finds it, you get a strike. And so I don't really know how to crack the code, but I just wanted to kind of open it up to the chat. If anybody is like nerding out on this stuff and wants to figure it out with me, I'm going to do my own little sort of investigation and try to figure out how the algorithm works, because I'm not trying to screw anyone over. Never. Like, of course, people should make money off their music, but it is a little bit ridiculous sometimes, especially when it's like your own music or this and this and that. And it would just be good to know if we can still play someone's remix if there's like this much of this, because I don't want to violate any laws. I certainly don't want us to get any strikes, but I like to know how things work. So I would like to know how this works. So if anyone knows more about how Audible Magic works, this would be super helpful, because this will let us answer your question of like, can you play your own track on our stream just because it's released? Is the algorithm going to catch it? Can you play something with a little bit of a chunk? Generally, we really try to avoid that. So speaking of algorithms and weird things, and we have a remix coming up by Stasis Stigma of Adam Turley. So who's Adam Turley? What's the story behind this remix? What's the comment, Natty? What's going on?
I'm struggling with the transitions and the drops being punchy. It's the comment.
Okay, let's check it out.
So nothing about the actual track, but
careless eyes looking back behind me. Realize that I'm not like everybody. Remember the reasons I'm scared of flying. Yeah, you remind me. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe you're right. Maybe I should give up the fight. Afraid of myself, afraid of this life. What if I lose it all? What if I die, get lost in myself? What if I just get put on a shelf? Yeah, I gotta know, if I lose it all, can I blame it on me? Blame it on my ADD. Can I blame it on my ADD? Blame it on my ADD. Can I blame it on my ADD? Blame it on my ADD. Blame it on my ADD. Blame it on my ADD. Can I blame it on my
I gotta say, like, the main comment in the chat that resonates with me the most is Moldy Soul. Like, this has TikTok trend written all over it. Milk that. My gosh. Like, especially right now, I mean, I full disclosure, like I'm kind of exploring ADD and ADHD and that right now, and there's so many people just, I think right now in general, it's okay to be more open about your mental health these days. So people are being a lot more open, which is why these things are coming out. But like, so many people would relate to this, identify with this, do the TikTok dance to this. This is crazy. This is so on point. So I think with the punchiness, this is just a guess, because honestly, I'm a sound design, I'm an arranging person. I can hear things that need to be mixed, but I'm not always able to articulate them. But I know that sometimes when I have a track like this and it lacks punchiness, or like you say, it has to do with some basic elements having too much of something. And in this case, your kick is so punchy and it has so much like snap and click to it that I wonder if maybe cutting some of the high end of the kick might clear up some room for the other stuff to punch out. And I only say that because this is solved the problem for me a lot of times in the similar situation. It's just like, you know, and I'm working with other producers who make really like heavy kind of mid-range and punchy music. Sometimes they cut a lot more high end off the kick than you'd expect, because they're filling that high end with the synths and the upfront elements that are in the other place. So I think just just paying attention to like your elements are so sharp and so punchy and so snappy that maybe that's something to go in and look at, is like maybe your synths are not punching through enough because the drum punchiness needs to be pulled back to make room for that. So I think that otherwise, like this is a killer track. Like I am waiting for this viral like payday to happen for you, because it is so ready to do that. Natty, you what's up? You have some comments on this yourself?
I mean, yeah, I think with this sort of mix, it is hard to pinpoint exactly where the mud is. So I mean, I can't think of anything better than what you're suggesting there. But it is a really fun track. I mean, I'm wondering what sort of dance would be associated with this for a TikTok.
Oh, just like a 1, 2, 3, 4, like all those like all those things that white people are really good at, you know, counting to 4, being right on the grid, like.
Do you remember that copy paste on the Discord? I mean, maybe you know, don't they make stupid challenges that make no sense? So maybe it would be, you know, I don't know, just knocking something off the table and going, "Oh my God, blame it on me."
Sorry. Mentally losing your keys, and instead of frantically finding them, just burst out into dancing. I love this. This is the best.
Or maybe it's in reverse. Maybe that's the dance. It's doing something really boring, but you're reversing it.
This is getting way too existential. Oh, we got a Schlop track next. It's been a while since we've heard. Schlop recently got married, so congratulations, Schlop. That's why Schlop has been off the grid. That's the only really acceptable excuse.
Honeymoon, huh?
Nothing else is acceptable. Yeah, I mean, missing this for any other reason. No, but you can get off. Honeymoon, really excited. And
no, you must watch us on your honeymoon.
Yes.
And put us on repeat.
Whole honeymoon in bed watching Feedback and Friends. Whoa. That's a
My dad says it's worthwhile.
Yes, amazing. Well, we're looking forward to hearing what Schlop has been up to. Is there any specific feedback?
This one was, just made this fresh from my weird brain. Totally experimental track, late night festival things, getting weird vibes.
Yes.
No real transitions or FX vocals or any kind really, but the track is laid out. Yikes. Let's see.
Schlop, I got to get some dubs for you for Saturday too. I will totally, and you are on the guest list, by the way, so you can come and dance to your own tracks. I love doing that though, because the thing is you never get to hear your own tracks like in front of the speakers, right? Because like you're always on the other side playing them. So sick! I can't wait.
Saying you sent one.
Nice.
Realize how many codes you just violated? Oh, jeez, Rick. What do I know about knowing stuff? Get in the fucking car. Hey, man, come on, oh, jeez. See how I paint a wall? It was the Morgantown locals, man.
That was so much fun. That was such a party track for sure. That's something like not even 4 a.m. That's like, for me, that's like a just before sunrise. Like when everybody's been dancing the whole night and they're like, should I go back to camp? Or like, do you want to like stay here a little bit longer? And somebody's like, I'm holding up for the sunrise set. And then you put this on and then people are like, Rick and Morty. And then somebody like comes out with another camel pack full of tequila. I'm totally not speaking from firsthand experience of this kind of thing or anything, right?
Of course not. Of course not.
I think the distortion in the first half you have to be careful with, because it's in some ways it just sounded distorted, and then somehow as the second half came in, it seemed to like go into context and sit in place. So however you're making it fit in the second half is how it needs to fit in the first half, because I had a little bit of a moment of like, ooh, like I feel weird and this and this and that. What's so not, but yeah, I mean, other than that, I love that deep forest vibe. I love the rhythmic stuff. I love all of that. So yeah. Let's Natty, what did you think? As somebody who's not a Denverite, like for me, it's just like taking me right to that place. And for you still haven't been to a full-on festival. I think that's our next vacation, Natty. We have to go festival it up somewhere.
We'll have to work that out. Yeah. I mean, I find it interesting as well choosing to sample Rick and Morty, because in terms of aesthetic, Adult Swim actually does like they publish a lot of animations and things that use dub aesthetic as a soundtrack. They like going weird and wonky and just, trippy as all hell. I mean, there's a running joke within their staff when they do late night content where they try and one-up each other for making things that are like, they're not adverts, they're just sort of interludes between shows that are meant to confuse all the people stoned out as hell. And this feels like something that would be on like one of those segments where it's just like they know their audience is trashed, and that feels like what's going on here is, oh my god, I hear Rick and Morty, it's so familiar, and then it just goes weird, and then I'm like, what is this anymore?
Well,
so I mean, I think in terms of intention, nailed it.
Yeah, I agree in terms of intention, but yeah, just fix the distortion a bit, and I think it's a super cool track. Thank you for everybody for being here. We are just about to close for the night. Thanks for everybody who held on patiently. But before we close, I just wanted to talk once more about the remix competition. Don't forget to tune in next Wednesday, 8 p.m. EST. We are going to have a live challenge with some live electronic performers chopping up the stems, and we're going to have a listening party with the top 8 remixes, which will be announced on that date. We have a bunch of judges going through them right now. And just before we sign off, I wanted to actually just focus on maybe just playing a little bit of one, because we have 101 remixes. Bat crazy. Whoa. But anyways, it's Audius, definitely, they organize them. It's a weird algorithm. It seems to be by plays or favorites or something like this. Maybe favorites, I'm not sure.
It uses a combination of like ranking, like I think reposts and likes are weighted higher than plays, but you can actually have a super enormous amount of plays and outweigh the ratio.
Yeah.
Like I've seen that happen.
Dan, I think it might be 1 a.m. GMT. What time is it GMT, Natty? Because you're in GMT, our competition. Is it 1?
It starts at 1 till 4 is generally the
Sorry, it's a little
night.
late for UK, but there's just no time zone that works for everybody, and we do,
no sleep.
We do this.
No sleep. Let's go.
But yeah, I wanted to play a little bit of one of my favorites so far. That being said, I really have only like skimmed through because there's 101, but this one really stood out to me so far because of the textures and the way that they really chopped it up. So let's check out this Ari remix. Enter to our contest.
This is a letter from the dark side. Go back in time, right to yourself. Just take a breath and try to stand up before you melt on someone else. Better to jump in freezing water than just to try and wait it out. Get lost inside a maze of mirrors. So many things are clearer. Now fuck it all, just be here. the first time we're outside. Just take a breath and try to stand up. There's nothing there, nowhere to hide. All of the sidewalks shining brighter, reflect the joy within us. Get lost inside these perfect mirrors. So many things are clearer. Just chasing the flavor, chasing the flavor. Just chasing the flavor, just chasing the flavor, just chasing the flavor. Don't try to get at me, immune craze. I'm feeling myself so, don't stand in my way. I'm chasing the flavor, just chasing the flavor, just chasing the flavor. Don't try to get at me, immune craze. I'm feeling myself so, don't stand in my way. I'm chasing the flavor, just chasing the flavor, just chasing the flavor. Don't try to get at me. I'm feeling myself so. I'm chasing the flavor.
So Ari, if you're out there, this is bomb. I love this. That really, like the switch ups, the drops, the drum sounds, like that was a nice little piece. And by the way, don't worry. I mean, I know that this is organized by this algorithm, but that does not mean we're going to prioritize or deprioritize. Like every single remix, I'm about to sign off here with y'all, go through, make sure that everything else is added. And then we are all going to go through and vote. And a bunch of people are going to vote to take it down to the top 8, which are going to be announced next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Okay, that's when the stream starts. We're gonna have showcases. We're gonna have giveaways, some more trivia because that was fun. Some sick contestants, and we're of course the winners of the remix contest. So thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you to people who donate and support us. Any last words, Nathaniel?
I mean, I'll say 101 remixes.
101. It's so massive. I know. It's amazing. Thank you everybody for contributing tonight. So we'll just do our usual barbershop sweet tones of thank you and good night. Wow.